Brought to you by Thomas Allgaier and Frennis. This edition highlights key LinkedIn posts on social selling in weeks 7 and 8. Frennis supports enterprises with enablement and insights, providing data-driven sales intelligence, flexible support, team augmentation, and data quality improvements so social engagement turns into a measurable pipeline.
Welcome to the deep dive. We are looking at a landscape today that has, fundamentally shifted under our feet.
It really has. I mean, we're taking a close look at the state of B2B social selling in early 2026 here. And looking through the stack of insights we've curated from week 7 and 8, if there's one overarching theme, is that the old post and pray method isn't just inefficient anymore. It's actively hurting your brand.
Yeah, totally. We are seeing this hard pivot from what I'd call tactical posting.
Like just getting content out to fill up a calendar.
Right, exactly. Moving from that to systematic positioning.
Which, sounds fantastic in a boardroom. But for the people on the ground, the sales reps, the marketers, there's a lot of anxiety right now. Reach is down, the old playbooks are failing, and everyone is kind of asking, what did I do wrong?
And the reality is you didn't do anything wrong. The environment just changed. So today we're going to look at the AI algorithm reset, why content is now revenue infrastructure, the big shift from broadcasting to engagement, and the double-edged sword of employee advocacy.
Let's start with the thing that keeps everyone up at night, which is the algorithm. I feel like every year we hear that the algorithm changed, but the intel we have from week 7 suggests this isn't just a tweak. It's a complete overhaul.
It really is. Alex Calhoun flagged this immediately. He noted that LinkedIn has essentially replaced the old ranking system with a completely new AI model. It's no longer just a popularity contest where it counts your likes.
So what exactly is it counting then?
Well, it's reading. Calhoun explains that the AI now reads your content, but, and this is the critical part, it also judges your profile to decide if you actually have the authority to speak on that topic.
That sounds incredibly invasive, but also kind of smart, I guess. Unedi Baga actually compared this to TikTok's For You page style. She says the feed is now grouping users by similar personas.
Yes, that's the interest graph concept. Christina Castro had a brilliant breakdown of this in her posts. The old world was the social graph, meaning you see stuff just because you know the person.
Right.
But the new world is the interest graph. You see stuff because the machine knows you care about that specific topic.
Okay, but how does the machine actually know? Is this just basic keyword matching?
No, and that's where James Keel's analysis gets really interesting. He went deep into the technical weeds, mentioning that technologies like 360 Brew and Llama 3 are powering this whole thing.
Llama 3 is an open source large language model, right?
Correct. And because it's an LLM, it understands semantics. It understands context. Keel points out that the AI is looking for semantic alignment.
Meaning what exactly, in a practical sense?
Meaning if your profile says cybersecurity specialist, but you're constantly posting about baking sourdough bread or just generic motivational fluff, the LLM spots that disconnect.
I see.
Yeah, and it creates what Keel calls a visibility vacuum.
So the AI essentially says, I don't know what box to put you in, so I'm just not going to show your stuff to anyone?
You disappear. You have to stay in your lane. If you confuse the bot, you lose the audience.
That feels a bit restrictive, though, doesn't it? Humans are multifaceted. But I guess for B2B selling, you absolutely need that clarity. If we have to write for a machine now, how do we actually do that without sounding like robots ourselves?
Jasmine Alij provided a really practical checklist for exactly this. He calls it SEO on LinkedIn. Since an LLM is reading your post, you have to structure it so the machine can digest it easily.
What's the specific tactic there?
Active verbs, imperatives. Say things like do this or analyze that. It helps the AI categorize the advice you're giving. But his absolute biggest tip was about images. He says you must add ALT descriptions.
Usually we just think of ALT text for accessibility purposes.
Which is vital, obviously. But Alij points out that the LLM uses that text to actually see the image. If you post a complex chart with no ALT text to the AI, it's just a blank space.
Wow.
Yeah. If you describe it, the AI understands the context and then distributes it to the right people.
That is a massive hack. I bet 90% of people completely ignore that field.
They definitely do. He also mentions visual structure, breaking up the text so the AI and the human can scan it more easily.
Speaking of timing and structure, Christina Castro dropped a very specific warning about the 90-minute window.
The golden hour and a half.
Is it really that strict?
The data strongly suggests the trajectory of your post is largely determined right in that first 90 minutes. If you don't get engagement, specifically comments in that window, the AI marks it as low quality and halts distribution.
That creates a massive amount of pressure for a salesperson. You can't just schedule a post to go into a 2-hour client meeting. You have to babysit it.
You have to manage it. It's a core part of the workflow now.
Okay, so the machine wants semantic alignment and structure. But eventually, a human has to read this stuff. If we are all optimizing for Lame 3, aren't we going to end up with a sea of generic, here are 5 tips kind of content?
That is the exact risk. And that leads us nicely into our second theme, which is content as revenue infrastructure. If everyone sounds exactly the same, you lose.
Simone Brett-Moratti was very clear on this in the source material. She said, relevance beats volume. We used to think, just post every single day. Now she's saying if it's not relevant, don't even bother.
Because the metrics have totally changed. Lilac Gold has highlighted this. It's not about views anymore. It's about dwell time and completion rate.
Like, did they actually read it?
Did they get to the very bottom?
Yeah.
Goldis notes that if you can get 25% of readers to the last line, your reach jumps significantly. If people click see more and then just scroll past, the algorithm interprets that as clickbait and kills the reach instantly.
So you have to hook them and hold them. But how do you hold them if you're just spewing dry technical facts?
You don't. Magali DeRue argues that AI cannot commoditize personality. The posts that are winning right now, the ones holding that dwell time, are the ones that are polarizing or that share hard-won personal lessons.
Paulina Stricker had a take on this that I thought was hilarious, but also very true. She said, politeness is the death of reach.
It's a bold statement, but she's right.
She basically said, you need to have balls. If you're hedging every statement with, well, in my opinion, or one could possibly argue, you're dead in the water. Indifference is worse than disagreement.
Because it creates friction. Friction creates comments, and comments signal relevance to the AI. It's a feedback loop. If you are lukewarm, you are invisible.
So have an opinion. But it's not just about the content in the feed itself. We saw a lot of chatter about the profile as well.
Right. Dennis Jedlicka and Troy Johnson & Johnson was referencing Josh Edom here. Both emphasize that the profile is where the trust is verified.
Because you might catch their attention with a hot take in the feed.
But then they go straight to your profile to see if you're actually legit.
There's your landing page.
Exactly. And Eric Zimmerman added a detail that I think is going to sting for some of the newer folks listening. He calls it the 500 Club.
I saw that. He points out that if you have fewer than 500 connections, LinkedIn displays the exact number on your profile, like 87 connections.
And in the world of B2B sales, that creates an immediate credibility gap. It signals you are either brand new or you just don't have a network.
It screams tourist.
Completely. Once you hit 500 plus, it just says 500 plus. It's a major psychological threshold. It implies you are established in your industry. Zimmerman's point is that before you try to be a thought leader, you need to fix your foundation. Get to 500.
It's basically a hygiene factor. Okay, moving over to theme 3. We've talked a lot about posting, but Alistair Driscoll says we are getting it all wrong by treating LinkedIn like a megaphone.
The megaphone fallacy. Look at our new award, or we just launched this minor feature. Driscoll notes that most sales reps are just blindly broadcasting company news.
And nobody cares.
Nobody. Parker Neyman Warden has a hot take that I think changes the whole resource allocation model for sales teams. He says commenting is greater than posting.
Greater than posting. That feels counterintuitive given everything we're told about content being king.
Content is awareness. Commenting is pipeline. Warden argues that when you post, you are essentially waiting for people to come to you. When you comment, you are entering the room where the buyers already are.
But there's a right way and a wrong way to do this, obviously. No knee sand distinguishes between fake and real social selling here.
We've all seen the fake stuff. Great posts. Thanks for sharing.
Or the absolute worst insightful content, clearly written by a bot.
That is the death knell. Real social selling is adding a unique perspective, maybe answering an objection in the comments or actually contributing to the debate at hand.
You mentioned bots, and we need to pause there because Michelle J. Raymond and Bianca Kolowitz were screaming from the rooftops about this in weeks 7 and 8. Automation is highly dangerous right now.
It's not just dangerous, it's being actively hunted. LinkedIn is severely penalizing bot comments.
Liam Darmody mentioned this too. He noted that LinkedIn will actually remove automated comments from the most relevant sort view entirely.
Think about the tech we discussed at the beginning. LAM-A3. It can identify generic LLM-generated comments instantly. So if you are using a tool to scale your engagement, you are literally paying money to be filtered out.
So you really have to do the manual work. But that brings up the scalability issue. If I'm an enterprise sales director, I can't just clone my best reps. How do I operationalize this behavior?
Michael Kurson shared a fascinating case study from HubSpot on this. They didn't just tell their reps to go be social. They built a rigid system.
What did that actually look like in practice?
They tracked social metrics with the exact same rigor as call logs or email open rates. They integrated it directly into the daily workflow, and the numbers were staggering.
Yeah, in 50 days, they booked 200-plus meetings and generated $1.5 million in pipeline.
$1.5 million in less than 2 months, just from operationalizing their social engagement.
It proves that the ROI of social isn't a ghost. It's real, but only if you treat it as a true discipline, not a Friday afternoon hobby.
Richard Vanderblom provided a great daily routine for this.
Yes. He suggests morning listening. Before you post anything, spend time listening to what your prospects are posting, then move to strategic engagement. And then, publishing 2 to 3 times a week. It's a specific rhythm.
I love the morning listening concept. It stops you from being the guy who walks into a networking party and immediately starts shouting about himself.
We all know that guy. Don't be that guy.
Exactly.
Okay, theme 4. We've talked heavily about the individual rep, but what about the broader brand? Employee advocacy.
Or as I like to call it, the human firewall.
Gareth Wax called company pages museums.
Polished, quiet, and totally empty.
Serge Boulev's data firmly backs that up. He found personal profiles get 561% more reach than company pages.
Which makes perfect sense when you think about it. We trust people. We don't trust corporate logos.
So the strategy's pretty clear. Get your employees to post. Niall Ratcliffe pointed to SEMrush as the absolute gold standard here.
SEMrush is an interesting case because they sell SEO software. It's highly technical, it's dry.
It's incredibly boring.
But they have this massive cult following. Why? Because they incentivize 2,000 staff members to post. And they encourage real humor. They use memes. They act like human beings.
Luciano Trujillo suggested gamification is key here. His team saw acceptance rates 73% above average simply because they turned advocacy into a friendly internal competition.
However, and this is the part of the deep dive where we need to have a very serious reality check, there is a massive risk here that Eric Iannello raised.
The cautionary tale.
It's the nightmare scenario for a CEO. You spend significant time and money building up your employees' personal brands. You give them the audience. You effectively make them industry influencers.
Yeah.
And then?
You treat them poorly.
And they leave. They leave. But they don't just leave quietly. Iannello cites Aligned and Pylon as specific examples of this. In those cases, top talent left and took directly to LinkedIn to air their grievances.
They basically burn the house down on their way out.
They detailed the burnout. They detailed the toxic leadership. And because the company had spent years validating these exact people as trusted truth tellers, the audience believed them immediately.
So the brand equity they built turned into a massive sales objection literally overnight.
Imagine a prospect looking at your software and then seeing a viral post from your former top rep saying, "Don't sign with them. The culture is completely toxic. That deal is dead."
That is terrifying.
Yeah.
It really underscores that advocacy isn't just a marketing distribution channel. It's a mirror. If your internal culture is rotten, advocacy is just going to amplify that rot to the whole market.
You cannot mask a bad culture with good social selling anymore. The human firewall works both ways.
So if you're going to deploy this, you better be a place worth working for. Now, for the companies that are good places to work, but just have incredibly busy subject matter experts, Patrice Arenas Lerma suggested a ghostwriting workflow.
Which is a very pragmatic middle ground. Not everyone is a natural writer. If you can capture their expertise and package it for them ethically, it helps them participate without adding to their burnout.
Finally, let's talk metrics. How do we actually measure success in this new landscape? We hear a lot about the SSI, the Social Selling Index. Is this real, or is it just a vanity metric?
It's definitely controversial, but Umid Alizadeh and Shanshan Thompson argue it's a necessary diagnostic tool. It tells you if you are hitting the 4 core pillars: brand, people, insights, and relationships.
But Unadi Baga had a crucial clarification here that I want to highlight. She said SSI doesn't control your distribution.
Right. Having a perfect score of 80 doesn't mean the algorithm suddenly loves you and boosts your posts. However, she notes it acts as a spam prevention metric.
What does that mean in practice?
It means if your SSI is suspiciously low, in the single digits, the system might flag you as a bot or a low-quality account. So you need to keep it at a healthy baseline just to ensure your content even gets a chance to be seen.
So it's not the ultimate goal, but it's the ticket to enter the game.
Exactly.
We've covered a lot of ground today, from the semantic AI overhaul to the undeniable power of commenting and the very real dangers of employee advocacy gone wrong. If we boil all of this down, what is the one thing our listener needs to change on Monday morning?
Stop counting likes. The lazy era of LinkedIn is definitively over. The algorithm is now smart enough to detect semantic relevance and penalize spam instantly. You have to go deep and be specific.
Stay in your lane, add ALT text to your images, and engage with real balls.
And remember what Sebastian Auer noted in his post. The tried and tested strategies of 2024 are gone. It's about selling with values now. Organic customer acquisition comes from genuine value, not from cheap growth hacks.
Selling with values. That feels like the right place to land. It's definitely harder work. But as those HubSpot numbers showed, it clearly pays off. Which leads to a thought I want to leave you with. If we're told to be polarizing and have balls to stand out, what happens when the AI gets so good at mimicking that authentic polarizing tone that we can't tell the difference anymore?
That is a scary thought. Where does the trust go then?
Exactly. Something to chew on. If you enjoyed this episode, new episodes drop every 2 weeks. Also check out our other editions on account-based marketing, field marketing, channel marketing, MarTech, go-to-market, and AI in B2B marketing.
Thanks for joining the deep dive. See you next time.